Hello.
Welcome back to Switching Reels.
Welcome back to Switching Reels.
We watched a happy movie today.
Exceptionally happy. There's no sadness in this movie at all. And this is like going to be like a stream of sad movies. We had Goodfellas last week, and that was not a happy movie. And then this one was One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest. So that's what we watched today.
I feel
the
like
next one's Seven.
I feel like the next one's disturbing, but it's not really sad.
I know, but it's not happy.
Yeah, that's true.
None of these are going to be happy.
We've
movies.
got
I don't know.
What the one after that is It's a Wonderful Life, which has a happy ending.
It's a happy
but
ending, but it is also not a happy movie.
Yeah.
It's spotlights for that show. But that's a few weeks away. So we'll talk about this one, which was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes.
There were no birds at all.
There were some birds. They just were in background
Barely.
Establishing shots a little bit.
Barely birds.
At no point in this film was a bird the focal point.
The focus point of this, exactly. Unless you call women birds.
Well, yeah. If you're from the 1920s, you might.
Exactly. 100 years ago. That's spooky.
All right.
Who do we watch this with?
Honestly, I don't know who I'd recommend it to.
I don't know who I'd recommend it to either.
I feel very safe in saying it's a good film.
It is a good film. It's really well done.
But like I can't think of anybody that I'd be like, oh yeah, you'd enjoy this movie.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Like if you're into film and you want to see a movie, this is one of those.
Yeah.
It's also very sad. It has some commentary on mental health, but most of it just feels... mental health rehabilitation. But, like...
So we'll get into this more, but I would make the argument that it is more a criticism of the way that mental health is handled.
Completely.
Considering the fact that it's criticizing 1960s mental health when this was made like 20 years later.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that was supposed to be like, hey, this is a modern critique.
Times. Exactly.
But it is definitely doesn't shine a favorable light on.
That's for sure.
On at least 1963 mental health
as a institution.
Profession. Yeah,
exactly. All right. So does it deserve its place on the list is the next question. And I'd say so far.
I would say that
I could put it down further.
Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah. I would say that it deserves to be on the list.
Absolutely.
But I would rank it considerably lower than it is.
Yeah, I don't know that it's like, because this is like 18 or 19. Like, it's pretty high up there.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I would put it top 20 at all. I don't know if I would put it top 50. So maybe top 100.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I would probably knock it out of the top 100, but that's, again, I've said this before, but I genuinely think that there are a lot of movies in the last 150 of this list that deserve way more praise than they receive.
I'm looking forward to those in a few years.
Yeah. At the rate we're doing these episodes.
Exactly. Awesome.
Ratings. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go with it first. Yeah, so this is where we do enjoyment and technical. So my enjoyment was a 7. I think a pretty solid 7.
Yeah.
Technical, though, I'll bump that one up to like a 9. Like, there were very few technical things in this except for the blood.
Yeah.
But there are very few technical things in this that I didn't like. So 9.5, I think, for me, for technical, because it did some really nice things with characters, very nice things with characterization.
Yeah.
And dialogue. So.
Yeah. I'll probably match you pretty close on this one. At no point watching this do I go, wow, I wish I was doing something else.
Exactly. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Caveats.
But, I do think that my enjoyment's probably around a 7. Technical, I think it does some really great things with characterization, like you were saying. there are a lot of, I guess, stylistic things that bother me about it,
Makes
and
sense.
so I might knock it down a little bit for that. But yeah, I would still say it's a strong 8 to a light 9.
Awesome.
Because yeah, the characterization is really really incredible, and we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah, very much so, because that's what makes this movie.
Yeah.
Whew.
So this is the part where we
Yeah,
say,
go into spoiling land.
well, yeah, we say like, subscribe,
Oh yeah,
and
please do.
whatever else, comment.
Yeah, there's comments, subscribing, stuff.
Yeah.
So please do it. We
Do
would
the
love to see it.
YouTube things.
Do the YouTube things, do the Spotify things, do the other
Anchor?
things. Anchor. Oh no, it's not Anchor anymore.
Oh, it isn't.
It's Spotify for podcasters.
I don't like that.
Me either. Thanks, Spotify.
But that is not what our podcast is about. Our
It is
podcast is about films.
It is. So this is where we are going to go into spoiler territory. Please hang up if you don't want to hear spoilers.
Yep. And leave a message after the tone. I'm glad you're the one that's going to have to edit that.
I know, me too. iMovie does it for me.
So, summary of the film.
Yeah, summary of the film.
All right. I've taken the last few, but they've been easy, so I feel like it's on me to take this one.
Hey, I'm fine with it. Whatever.
All right. Murphy is our main character for the most part. He gets put into a mental health institution for evaluation because he is a, I suppose, chronically rebellious person.
Yes.
And while he is in there, he makes friends with the other patients until he causes too much trouble for Nurse Ratchet, who runs the place with an iron fist. And they lobotomize him. His friend kills him and escapes using his plan from basically the beginning of the movie. Yeah, I think that's about the best I can do.
Yeah, that's really the best that... Okay, so this is the story of how R.J. McMurphy goes and brings life... RP?
Yeah.
This is the story of how R.P. McMurphy brings a little bit of life to the patients at a mental health institution, shows them that maybe they aren't actually crazy, and in doing so, destroys the establishment, and therefore they lobotomize him, and then his friend kills him and leaves using the plan from the first part of the movie.
Wait a second. All right.
The establishment is the enemy in this movie.
Yeah. Okay, so we have an order here, but I want to jump straight to themes.
Let's go to themes. It's the most juicy one. Let's go.
So with this one, one thing that really stood out to me much later in the film was the way that there are a lot of reflections, and specifically twisted reflections. You look at the way that Murphy is portrayed and the way that Nurse Ratchet is portrayed, and they are, in a lot of ways, two sides of the same coin.
Yes, they're both actually kind of trying to help the patients.
Yes.
Again, with the twisted part, like you were saying.
And they're both... So what I was initially thinking is that Murphy has all of the respect that Nurse Ratchet is trying so desperately to achieve. And that's also sort of reflected in the way that society would view these people, whereas the way that we view them in the film is reversed, right? Like, you've got Nurse Ratchet, who's ostensibly a mental health professional that is trying to help patients in her institution. You have a troublemaking criminal who is put into the institution and basically incites the patients to riot. But we watch this and we hate Nurse Ratchet. we somehow find Murphy
who, as a character, like the
charismatic.
Objective, yes, exactly. And as a character, like as a human being, if we weren't given the perspective that we were, like, he's not a great person.
Yeah.
Necessarily. He like
goes. You could argue he's not a good person.
Yeah, he's not a. I would agree with that as well. Like, he's a rapist. He's done assault multiple times to different people, and generally doesn't have respect for the institution.
Yeah.
And all of that is endearing in this situation because the institution is the problem. Like Mrs. Hatchet.
Specifically the last part.
Yeah. Exactly.
Specifically, the last part is endearing.
Yes.
The rest of it, maybe not so much.
Yeah, the first part, I apologize. I do not find assault endearing or any sort of those kinds of things. So, it's, you just watch it starting out and you're like, okay, this guy, like, isn't crazy. You can tell when he comes in that, like, he's kind of feigning it.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting you say that, because there's a whole debate. Like, one of the big debates around this is whether or not he's crazy.
He's actually crazy. Oh,
and honestly, I'm with you. Like, I don't see any way in which he's crazy. He's clearly faking certain aspects.
I'm not a licensed psychologist. I know not very much about psychology.
Yeah.
Or I only know what I have seen about how people act, and this man was acting.
Yeah.
And so also kudos on the actor, because he did acting a person that was crazy very well. And props to him. He did a great job here.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Yep.
So well. You deserve more than a nickel. You get break it in half. You get 2 nickels. You get shit.
Yeah. All right. So, and this may be a bigger issue in the book, because I've never read the book. I don't know.
I've heard the book's good.
I have heard nothing about it other than that this movie was based on it.
I can say that at the beginning.
But yeah, I mean, I think the arguments about sanity are a little bit more shallow than I was hoping for. Both times that I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I want, and this totally isn't what the movie was going for. So, this isn't a real criticism. It's just a me thing.
Good.
But what I want the conversation about this movie to be is, okay, at what point do we blur the line between sanity and insanity?
Yeah, absolutely.
But that
is not what this movie is about.
What this movie is
this
about
is not what it's going for here. Like,
I would say it's more an argument on how we treat people that are mentally ill as opposed to the ones that are sane.
Yeah.
And what we do socially with people that upset our systems too much.
Exactly. Yeah, because I would completely agree with that. It does touch on the what is sane and what is insane.
Yeah. Because
and it also very much again drives home the thing that we see in all good movies, the man's like last refuge being his ability to choose. Like, half the people there were choosing to be in this institution because, for whatever reasons, I would normally probably just blanket describe it as fear, but whatever their reason was, they were there voluntarily. A few of them weren't. And you could tell that most of the time, the ones that weren't there were actually like probably a little looser in the head, like couldn't actually comprehend the world very well, or had anger problems.
Yeah.
Tabor. And also McMurphy. Like, I think that is one of, like, he is impulsive. He is charismatic.
Yeah.
But he is also violent.
Yeah.
Like, he is not a safe individual. And I would agree with the doctors whenever they're talking about it. Yeah. Like, he isn't. But
he isn't crazy, but he's definitely got problems.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't know. So I am also not a psychologist, but I've done a little bit of research here and there. I wonder how many of the I wonder how a psychologist would watch this and diagnose McMurphy.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's probably some part of the dark triad, which is narcissism, uh, I'm spacing on the one, Machiavellianism, and sociopathy.
I wouldn't call him a sociopath. He understands it feels like he understands and can
yes, but
respond to emotions really well.
He manipulates people.
Yeah, he does.
Pretty
constantly. He manipulates Candy.
He definitely manipulates Candy. I would say he manipulates the patients a lot.
Yeah, and this is actually another place where I would love to go and at some point discuss, like, when is manipulation detrimental and is it ever beneficial? One of the things that I feel like the movie argues here is that yes, he was manipulative. It's a do the ends justify the means question in this case, and because both of them were being manipulative,
right?
Like, Hatchet was also Ratchet,
yeah,
and Clank. Got you. Okay. Ratchet was also exceptionally manipulative. Poor Robbie. Richie? Bobby? The guy who kills himself at the end.
Oh,
Rosencrantz?
No, I promise, guys, we did watch this movie before we came.
I think he was Robbie or Richie or Bobby. One of those three. And I think it's Robbie or Bobby.
You're probably right.
I think it's Robbie or Bobby. I can't combine those two because of the same name. But that was high key manipulation. That's how she kept the control of the group. It felt like.
Yeah, and that would be another way
Twisted.
in which
Absolutely.
And why is one's manipulation so much more unacceptable than the others?
Exactly, and by whose perspective too,
right?
Because McMurphy's was absolutely the unacceptable one in that institution.
Yeah,
you know? Like all of the quote unquote sane people that were there, saw him as a threat,
right?
To some kind, or like some of them were probably actually like, hey, no, I care about this person. I think this is probably the best thing for him.
Yeah,
Ratchet didn't.
Yeah, well, and we see early on in the film that the hardest thing for me about her is I can't tell what her motivations are, at all.
Yeah. No.
Like, at the beginning of the film, we see her, for all intents and purposes, look like she's intentionally, provoking the patients.
Yes.
In order to get a rise out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only thing that I can see there is just a power trip.
That's what I'm feeling too.
But I can't imagine what other motivations would lead her to prod the patients in the way she does, to basically either demean them or to get everybody else to that first group therapy session. We watch everybody group up on this guy.
Yeah.
And she does nothing. At all. The only interaction.
I think we're making progress.
Yeah. The only thing that you can see her do is start the ball rolling until it cascades out of control.
Avalanches, exactly. And I do feel like, I think her name is Hatchet instead of Ratchet.
It's Ratchet.
I don't think it is. We're going to look afterwards and I'm going to be right.
Mildred.
There
you go.
Her first name is?
Yeah.
How they did a great job with her.
Yeah.
There's no way you could like her with being Mildred and then some sort of either tool or hacking machine. Anyway, I feel like it was the kind of power trip that you see. There's been other movies as well where they play on the idea that people that work in sort of health industry play off of the fact that they are in such a position of power, because in every situation she maintains power and maintains the idea that she is superior to them, and in whatever way possible.
Yeah.
And that rubs off as well on the other guards and assistants.
I don't know that I can name any other movies or TV shows that do that, but I can definitely see that in this one. Even to the point of, man, I'm losing my train of thought a lot.
No worries, man. They're cheap.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Build a new one.
You were talking about power tripping.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. I would say it's possible to see a savior complex.
Yeah, as well.
And here as well. Yeah.
She doesn't want to save him. I don't actually think she feels that. Looking at her, I'm like, if...
I don't know. Again, I'm not a psychologist, so
either.
I can't say anything about it. But
I have not done any
if
research
any
here.
of this has to do with being viewed as a savior as opposed to actually being one, then
yes, that's a good point. I can see that as well, for sure. So standout scenes and performances. Everyone did a great job in this. I think. Like you at the end were like, wait, Martini was Danny DeVito?
Yeah.
like,
well, part of it is he didn't look like him.
No, he didn't. No,
at least
at
not
all.
the Danny DeVito that
I
I've
know.
seen.
Exactly. And every actor in it was fantastic, I think. I can't point out a performance that was bad.
Billy was the standout for me. Every time I watch this,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that was his name. It was
Billy.
Billy.
What did I say, Robbie?
Yeah.
And Bobby?
Bobby.
Billy. Yeah. Dang it.
But yeah, I would say, like, every time I've watched this, I've seen it twice. But every time I watch it, I'm like, I just feel for Billy, and I want him to get better. And
me too.
Like, his tragedy hits that much harder
because it feels like he is one of the closest ones at times, you know?
Yeah.
Like a lot of the everyone in the therapy session does feel like they're really close.
Yeah.
And they could be quote unquote normal people.
Yeah.
But Billy especially.
Except maybe Martini.
Except for maybe Martini. Poor kid. And so the fact that he is one there voluntarily and has such a large complex with his mom, I really want to know what was more.
Yeah.
What more was there?
I wonder how much of that is what is attractive to him or to us as an audience and him as a character. Is the fact that we sense that there's a lot more going on beneath the surface with him. A
lot more.
It's not just a problem with the mind, it's also like a nurture issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
the poor guy.
Yeah.
I really like Chief.
Yeah.
He's just a good...
He's hard not to like in this.
He's really hard not to like in this. Even at the end, like...
Well, and that would be another thing that shows up as one of these reflection issues, right? You've got... Right before that is the lobotomy, which is like... It's supposed to be common practice at this time, and like it's supposed to be helpful for the patient, but that's not an act of mercy. Chief murders him in his bed.
In his bed. And you feel like, I don't know that I'm sad about it. Like,
well, it's not that you're sad about that. It's that you're sad that it had to come to that.
That it had to come to that. Exactly. That's a really, really good point.
And so, like, Chief's act at the end there of killing his friend was heartbreaking.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
Because you also know from watching him through the entire thing that he wouldn't want to live like that.
No, especially Chief. Yeah, because he pretends to be very similar to that the entire movie.
Yeah.
Up until the gum scene. So. Oh.
Juicyfruit.
Juicyfruit. Thanks. Oh, so good. But he was also there from fear. Like, my understanding was like, hey, my dad was a really bad alcoholic, and that's hereditary. I don't want to be in a place where that could happen to me, and I have children, and I do that to them.
Yeah.
Whew. It hit hard. There's a lot of those ones that hit just like, ugh.
Yep.
Like, Murphy actually, like, it was strange. I felt like the feeling I got from him actually was that he also was looking for excuses to stay for a bunch of it. like especially there on Christmas night before everything goes down. He has the perfect opportunities to leave.
Yeah.
Like if his head was actually intent on leaving, there were 3 or 4 times there that he could have left.
Yeah.
As well as whenever he was able to go, and he already proved that he could easily get someone else to help him out.
Yeah.
Like Chief helps him, and he's out over barbed wire fence. By the way, that was one technical thing got me. He should be ripped up.
Yeah.
He's out in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And is able to steal a bus and then a boat.
Yeah.
So, like, the choice for him staying, yes, he is committed to the institution, but he shows more initiative in getting out than those that aren't. And, like, physical initiative, but I feel like there's something in his heart that's like...
Honestly, I would say this is one of those things where you see his care for the other patients.
You really do.
And I think that's one of the big dichotomies here between Nurse Ratched and him is you watch her and she's just commanding them the entire time and basically forcing them into these lanes that she's decided they need to be in.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's not just her, maybe it's the institution on the whole, but like she's a rule follower for sure. Whereas you can see him where he sees something in one of these people and he goes, well, I can help with that.
Yeah.
And so with the fishing trip, there was definitely some ulterior motive
there for sure.
But he could have done that and just left. But instead he chooses to take all of these patients with him and take them fishing.
That's something that they
and
would
then
ever do.
To come back.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. They return.
Yeah.
Like, and generally no worse for wear.
Yeah. And the fact that he throws a party on that last night as like a
goodbye.
Yeah, a goodbye, as opposed to just saying, hey, if I get these girls in here and give the guard some booze, we can leave.
Exactly.
And he didn't have to do what he did for them. No. And I think that's part of what shines through about his character.
Very much.
In a way that, again, makes him more likable and more charismatic to us, even if, he's probably still not a very good person.
Exactly. They do a really good job of pitting you against the institution in this.
Yeah, they do.
So. Goodness gracious.
Which, if there's an institution to pit you against, is probably one of them.
Exactly. Like, if that was accurate, then pitch me against it all the days, please.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly, as many scenes in this are sort of cultural touchstones, there aren't a lot that stick with me as individual scenes.
Yeah, not really. Like, the whole thing with... the fishing trip and everything is like just fantastic and stand out. And I think they do a really good job with staying on characters for longer than necessary. Like, we have a good 30 seconds to a minute of just staring at McMurphy's face on the night of the party.
On the night of the party, yeah.
Exactly. And then after he attempts to strangle Ratchet, we also stay on her for a little bit afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing exceptionally stand out. I would agree with you.
Yeah. I think The Simpsons have done some things with scenes from this. Yeah.
That's so funny.
But then again, The Simpsons won't leave anything alone.
No, they won't.
So,
exactly. Seen any of that ever.
I mean, we've been talking about technical things through most of this. So
yeah. No Simpsons. Haven't seen Simpsons.
Oh yeah. There are a few episodes that I'll show you at some point.
Okay, perfect. I love that. Those will be some good bonus episodes.
Yeah. But yeah, other technical things. I mean, just another shout out again to the actors. They killed it in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't anybody that I thought did a bad job.
No, not at all.
Most of them, I would say, did a good job.
Oh, okay. So which patient do you resonate with the most?
resonate with the most.
Absolutely. This is just either your issue or you're like, yeah, no, that's me. For me, for example, it's the guy that's always tired.
I should have seen the.
Stands up for a
I
second.
should have seen this coming.
That's me. All the time. I've delivered the punchline now.
Yeah.
So if you don't actually have one, then you don't need to
Nurse
have
Ratchet.
one. Nurse Ratchet. There you go. Hot take for sure.
I just want everybody else medicated to the gills.
Makes them all really easy to deal with. Zap them a few times in the brains, remove their brains.
Yeah.
It's all fine for me.
All right. Well, that just about runs through our...
I think it does.
our
Yeah.
questions. Next week's film is 7.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that?
No. I don't think anyone can be ready for that.
I definitely wasn't the first time I watched it.
Yeah, I'm not
But
gonna
now
be
anytime
either.
I watch it,
Now you're ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad. How many times have you seen this?
Oh, I don't know.
More than 7.
I'd say it's somewhere around there.
This one would be 7, we'll just say.
Yeah, sure. No, and you'll understand why when you watch it. It's my kind of movie
Oh, good.
to
Okay.
begin with.
Nice.
And then they just like pile on lots of things that we'll talk about in the episode.
I'm excited.
It's a meaty
guess.
movie. I'm
It's a what?
excited. It's a meaty movie.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I feel like that's double entendre.
Yeah.
Nice.
It wasn't an intentional one, but yeah.
Great.
So how do we end this?